You are now locked into the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Here is your host, Brandon Blakeney.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Brandon Blakeney, aka Brandon Lee TV. Back at it again, my friends, with another banger, another a great discussion for y'all. So kick back, relax, and come take a ride with me. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you understand what is going on in Seattle right now. And for lesser or better words, man, it's a storm right now. The WNBA has still not taken any efforts to address this situation. This franchise has hired a law firm to investigate Noelle Quinn and her coaching staff for harsh treatment, beratement, and allegations of straight harassment to players, demeaning them on the court, in practice, in games, allegedly, for poor performances. This is nasty work. When you think about what the Seattle Storm started as, a historic franchise, has won championships, and they put together this big three around Jewel Lloyd. They bring in Wnba, who's president of the Players Association. You bring in Skylar Diggins, who's been one of the most improved players in the WNBA, maybe the comeback player of the year, in my opinion. And you think you got this super team. Jewel Lloyd, Scott Diggs played together in college at Notre Dame. There's that chemistry there. We thought there was some sort of sisterhood there. We're getting reports that Wnba, as well as Scott Diggs Smith, has unfollowed Jewel Lloyd on social media. Yo, Theo, welcome in. Daniel, welcome in. Y'all, this Seattle Storm situation is insane right now. And the fact that the WNBA has not made a statement, or even acknowledged that one of their teams, their franchises, is investigating the coaching staff for mistreatment of players. We saw what just happened with the Las Vegas Aces. We saw what happened with the Mercury when Scott Diggs was there. You would think this league has learned its lesson about just handling situations the right way and addressing misconduct swiftly. Now, I get that the investigation is still underway. I get that this is still fresh, and maybe they're trying to gather all the facts. But you got to come out and say something, Kathy Engelberg. What are you doing right now? Because it's all bad. Everybody's talking about it. It's really bad right now. The Player Association has not released a statement. The WNBA has not released a statement. The Seattle Storm has their coaching staff under investigation. And something else about this situation I don't like at all is the fact that Scott Diggs is being thrown under the bus. It's like an angry black woman. Why are they throwing Scott Diggs to the wolves right now, man? This was a quote that she came out and said. They're talking about how she was berating players and Coach Quinn was encouraging that type of behavior. But when you really look at one of the quotes they pulled in the Chicago Sun-Times reported initially about the mistreatment, the harassing, potential bullying. And when that bullying word gets thrown around, it's serious allegations. But this was one quote that they used from Skylar Diggins Smith. In this league, if you aren't ready to play, you'll get beat every effing night. They were ready to play and we weren't. This was after a loss that they had against the Washington Mystics when they went downhill after the Olympic break. They were ready to play and we weren't on both sides of the basketball. They deserve to win the game. If we're going to play like that, we need to be hitting our stride right now. We're not there. It's unacceptable how we're playing on both sides of the basketball. And I effed it up at the end. She takes responsibility there. That's a terrible foul as a vet. You can't make that play, but it shouldn't come down to that. We all got to step our game up. In this league, it only gets harder after the break, and that's fine. That's fine. But if we don't come ready to play from the start, we're going to effing lose. Look, man. To me, just based off of how they're trying to do Scott Diggins Smith, man, I think it's nasty work. It seems like she is just an old school player. We all played sports growing up, man. You all had a coach get in your face and cuss you out before. We all have had it. We've had teammates get into it before, and that's what it really seems like this is more of a case of. I don't like how they're throwing Scott Diggs under the bus though, trying to make her like some stereotypical angry black woman or something like that. Like they're throwing nasty labels on Skylar Diggins Smith, and she's been known to hold her teammates accountable. She's been known to be a very vocal presence in the locker room. But to paint her as a bad teammate, to paint her as a bully, is just nasty work in my opinion. I think it's nasty work, man. It's not cool. It's unnecessary, and I don't like it, man. And the coaching staff really hasn't had her back or stood up for her at all. I know even Tina Thompson came out and spoke on Scott Diggs' behalf, saying using your assumed power to harm others is always an attack on yourself. You never win. Your wrong will never be made right. Accept failure and move on. Stop being hella lame. It's super whack! Exclamation point. Scott Diggs quoted on Instagram, commented a word. A word. There is no way that they should be blaming her for this entire situation. And the fact, it sounds soft, man. It sounds like their locker room is soft. And it's crazy to me, too, that they were having players only meetings and they felt like Wnba's loyalty was more so to the coaching staff and they couldn't even talk as players in front of her. But she spoke highly of the coaching staff and feels like they're doing the right thing and they're well representing these players. But I don't think they're doing right by Scott Diggs, man. And at this point, is there a coming back from this? Can you restore the sisterhood of this roster and move forward? Because they came to play with Jewel Lloyd, and this is just year one. This is just year one. But it is a bad look on the WNBA, man. And it seems like everybody's kind of ganging up on Skylar Diggins Smith, who's never been deemed a bad teammate. But she on Instagram with some cryptic messages. She pulled out the Kendrick limits. She say, "Don't tell a lie on me." Y'all see it. Kendrick Lamar. "I won't tell the truth about you." That was what was posted on her Instagram, man. They're saying that she's throwing teammates under the bus. Lindy, what's up? Welcome in, welcome in. Guys, if this is your first time, make sure to hit that subscribe button, comment, like, share, all that good stuff. But the WNBA is really dragging their feet addressing this Seattle Storm situation. They still have not addressed what is going on whatsoever. Acknowledge that one of their franchises is investigating its own coaching staff. This is just another stain on the cloth that is the WNBA, another chink in the shield, man. Like, this is just stuff that you don't really see in the NBA or really other professional leagues to this magnitude, man. But for them to be throwing Scott Diggs under the bus, painting her as an angry black woman, it is nasty work. We know she's educated. We know that she's humble. We know that she's been a great ambassador for the league and for the game of women's basketball. So for them to throw her under the bus like she's some bully, just cussing people out for no reason, she's a competitor. Your locker room needs thicker skin. She is a competitor. And I understand certain things that were acceptable 10, 20 years ago are not really acceptable now, and they're frowned upon. But to throw her under the bus for demanding excellence from her teammates is nasty work. It's nasty work. It's totally unfair to her. Y'all let me know how y'all feel in the comments. Talk to me in the comments. This Seattle Storm situation is absolutely insane. I just think the league is dragging their feet. The league is absolutely dragging their feet right now. I mean, this is the hottest topic in the WNBA right now going on. And the league has not addressed it at all. The Players Association has not addressed it at all. They haven't said anything about this chaos. I don't like what they're doing to Skylar Diggs, and she's obviously not afraid to speak up for herself. It was mentioned that her and Jewel Lloyd were getting into it. It was mentioned that Jewel Lloyd and head coach Noel Quinn have been getting into it in it was bad blood in the locker room. Losing does that. When you start off as one of the hottest teams in the league, we see what led to some of the struggles after the break for the Storm as well, with just chemistry issues, toxic locker room. We were talking about the Chicago Sky. We should have been talking about the Seattle Storm. But it seems like the coaches were berating players, allegedly. I'm not here to jump to any conclusions. I'm not here to point any fingers, but I just think it's wrong how Skylar Diggins is getting done in this whole situation. I mean, it's nasty work. It's a bad look on the franchise, and it's a lot of It feels like, man, it sucks, to be honest, because Coach Noel Quinn's come in and done a good job, just with the on the court stuff. Good young coach, been in the league. Players seem to want to play for it, but I mean, this is just a really, really unfortunate situation for a team that was really, really fun to watch. But this is nasty work. Is it a case of the locker room being soft and not being able to take constructive criticism and fiery coaching, the Bob Knight style of things? Or is there a culture of bullying, a toxic culture where players feel uncomfortable within the Seattle Storm organization? Something to monitor there, man. But I think it's really not cool how they're doing Skylar Diggins Smith, man. She's a great player, great ambassador for the game, and she shouldn't be made a scapegoat to try to cover something up. It seems like we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg, though, and there's still a lot more information to gather based off this. But the fact that uh, Diggins Smith as well as Wnba have gone ahead and unfollowed Jewel Lloyd on social media. I'm not saying it means anything, but it definitely is something to know. It's something to know, and it's something to consider, man. But I just wanted to kind of go and talk about that a little bit with you guys because I think it's just a really shady situation, and we'll keep y'all updated because everybody's been talking about it. But definitely a storm brewing in Seattle, and it's nasty work right now. It really is. It's another stain on the WNBA, a league that is trying to get people to actively take them serious, and they're just not handling business. Where is Kathy Engelberg with a statement to address this situation and say they're not going to stand for it or say they're at least aware of it? I mean, it's nasty right now.